Okay, so when you think about Abu Dhabi, just for a moment,
Yeah, huh?
those incredible futuristic buildings you see, and the shopping center's just, well, buzzing with life.
Yeah, that energy is palpable, isn't it?
It really is. And that observation, it's actually right from the material we've been looking through, and it really sets the stage, I think, for what we're digging into today.
Indeed. It's the visible result of some very deliberate long-term thinking and, well, a lot of investment.
Right.
So today we want to unpack how firms like EHC Investments are, really helping to drive this growth, not just for Abu Dhabi, but for the whole UAE.
Exactly. We've got some really interesting stuff here that highlights the key things pushing this economic change forward.
Yeah.
So our mission for you, listening in, is to really get a handle on what's powering Abu Dhabi's dynamism and, crucially, the role strategic investment plays in all of this, all right?
Okay, let's do it. So maybe start with the big picture.
Good idea.
Over the last, 50 years or so, the UAE has managed this really quite remarkable shift.
It really has.
I mean, moving from an economy pretty much centered on oil
Mm-hmm.
to becoming this much more diversified global hub.
Yeah.
You're seeing finance, tech, sustainable development really coming to the fore.
And within that bigger picture, Abu Dhabi specifically has, well, it's really cemented itself as a major financial and industrial center for the whole region. You can really feel that.
Absolutely. And it hasn't happened by accident. There are key drivers.
Right.
A huge part of it is the strategic use of capital by the UAE's sovereign wealth funds. These massive state-owned investment arms like Mubadala, ADQ, and ADIA.
Ah, okay. So these are the big engines providing the fuel, the capital for these huge projects.
Exactly. Long-term strategic investments across loads of sectors.
And it's not just government money, is it? The sources we have really stress the impact of these innovative partnerships between the public and private sectors.
That's crucial, especially for building infrastructure and adopting new technologies.
Yeah.
And what's really telling is how Abu Dhabi has become such a magnet for international money. I mean, the UNC-TAD report in 2023 named it the top spot for foreign direct investment, overseas companies investing directly in the entire Middle East and North Africa.
Wow, okay. That really says something about its appeal.
It does. It underscores that global confidence.
And this seems to be where EHC Investments fits in. The article we looked at calls them a vital connector.
Yeah, I like that term.
Like they bridge the gap between the government's big plans and what the private sector actually does on the ground.
That's a really good way to put it. They operate right at that nexus of finance, infrastructure, and innovation.
So not just handing out cash, but actively shaping things.
Precisely. Take real estate and infrastructure, for example. EHC's fingerprints are clearly all over how Abu Dhabi's cityscape has evolved.
Definitely. We're talking huge projects, right?
Yeah.
Like Ruwai's industrial city.
Yes, that's being built up as a major manufacturing and logistics hub.
And then you've got Yas Island, which just keeps expanding. More tourism, more entertainment.
Absolutely.
Right.
Solidifying that global destination status.
And it's not just traditional buildings and roads, is it? They're involved in smart city stuff, too.
Yeah, integrating things like AI, artificial intelligence.
Right, machines doing human-like tasks.
And the Internet of Things, connecting physical objects with sensors and software, weaving that into the urban fabric.
That sounds very future-focused. Essential for staying competitive, I guess.
Totally. Which leads us quite nicely into Abu Dhabi's big push to be a global center for AI and startups.
Yeah, that feels very intentional.
Oh, it is. You see it in things like Hub 71, that tech ecosystem backed by Mubadala,
Okay.
and various incentive schemes from the Abu Dhabi Investment Office. Even geospatial tech from companies like G42 plays a role in positioning them as an AI leader.
And EHC is involved there, too, investing in tech startups and VC funds.
Seems like it. That's, how you keep that innovation pipeline flowing, feeding the knowledge economy.
Right, makes sense.
And critically, it's not just about growth at all costs. Sustainability is clearly a massive pillar here.
Yes.
And EHE's investment approach seems very much aligned with the UAE's big net zero by 2050 goal.
That's a huge commitment. And Abu Dhabi's really pushed itself forward on clean energy, hasn't it? Mascar City is the famous example.
It is a real hub for renewables innovation. And the source material is clear. They're aiming for sustainable growth, not just growth.
That distinction feels important.
It's critical.
Yeah.
And you can see the results already. The non-oil sectors now contribute over 50% to Abu Dhabi's GDP.
Over 50%. Wow. What was it before?
Back in 2000, it was around 38%, according to the Abu Dhabi Department of Economic Development. So that's a significant shift.
That really shows the diversification is working.
Definitely. And you have these really impressive flagship projects backing it up.
Like the Bracca nuclear energy plant.
Exactly, the first in the Arab world. And huge solar projects, too, like Noor Abu Dhabi.
So real, tangible steps towards that greener future.
Absolutely. And EHC focusing on environmentally and socially responsible investments is, well, it's a key part of making that happen.
So they're showing you can chase financial returns and do good.
That seems to be the message. It's not an either situation.
So, looking forward then. The outlook seems pretty bright. The IMF is forecasting strong GDP growth for 2025.
Yeah, the projections look good. It suggests this momentum is likely to continue.
And EHC's role remains pretty central to that.
Absolutely. They're described as more than just funders, right? They're enablers of this sustainable long-term development, helping turn the vision into reality.
Okay. And for any international investors listening, what's the draw? What makes Abu Dhabi attractive?
Well, several things. Tax incentives are often mentioned.
Uh-huh.
Opportunities for full foreign ownership in many areas, which is a big deal. And a stable regulatory environment. Predictability is key for investors.
Right. You need to know the rules of the game.
Exactly. And don't forget the UAE's Golden Visa program.
Ah, yes, attracting global talent.
Which in turn fuels more innovation and economic activity. It's a virtuous cycle, really.
It sounds like it. And there was that quote from the EHC CEO, Mustafa Rashad.
Yes, it really sums it up well. He said something like, as the UAE continues its transition to a post-oil economy, EHC investments will remain essential in shaping Abu Dhabi's future.
Okay.
And he specifically mentioned aligning with national priorities, diversification, tech innovation, and environmental sustainability as how they support the UAE's growth.
That's a pretty clear statement of intent.
It is. It basically says to the world, Abu Dhabi is a top-tier place to do business, and companies like EHC are integral to its success story.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, what are the main things you'd want people to take away?
I think first, just the sheer scale and pace Abu Dhabi's economic diversification. It's genuinely impressive.
Yeah.
Second, the really strategic role that these investment firms like EHC play. They're not passive, they're actively shaping things.
Crucial point.
And third, I'd say the twin focus on innovation and sustainability. That seems to be the foundation they're building on for the future.
A strong foundation, it sounds like.
I think so. We've looked at a nation really strategically using its resources, cultivating an environment for investment, for innovation. It's a major transformation, and it definitely presents opportunities.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought for you to chew on. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How can other places, other nations, maybe use investment quite so strategically to drive rapid but also sustainable growth? Are there lessons here that could apply elsewhere, even in totally different situations? Something to think about.